Take a breath and welcome. You've landed in the right place. This is Venus Mastermind Channel, and I'm Samantha Foster. I'm here to hold space for deep healing, feminine leadership, and karmic truth. And in this video, we begin a series that isn't just about my story, but about the medicine hidden inside your story too. If you're here, chances are you're the kind of person who feels things deeply, who's always sensed something more behind the rules, and rhythms of this world. This is the first in a series of videos where I share pieces of my own healing journey, but not just to tell my story. I'm sharing because I know parts of it will echo in your own body. My hope is that in hearing what I've lived and learned, something inside you will feel softened and maybe even set free. Maybe you know what it's like to be cast as the problem when all you did was survive, to be called too much, too sensitive, or too intense, when really you were just aware. Maybe like me, you've carried shame that was never yours. You've kept silent about pain you weren't allowed to name. Those wounds don't just vanish. They live in the nervous system, in our body, in the voice, in the soul. But here's the truth. No one told us those same wounds often hold the exact medicine we came here to bring. So why speak now? Because this isn't just my moment, it's our moment. We are living in a time when truth is rising through the cracks, personally, politically, and collectively. I think this is an amazing time because we get to be a part of the collective awakening. And I don't know about you, but that is something I definitely want to be a part of in whatever form it may take. In Vedic astrology, I'm in what's called a Saturn K2 dasha. It's a karmic cycle that stirs up buried truth and asks us to speak from the soul. Something really quick before I move on a little bit more about this dasha period and Saturn K2. I've tried sharing my story before, and it didn't succeed for so many different reasons. But what I really understand through Vedic astrology, there is a deeper wisdom and understanding what we call the dasha periods. It wasn't my time because the energies were not right. And it wasn't just because I'm like watching a clock, like, okay, I can go. And now I can share my story because now I'm in the Saturn K2 dasha. No, Saturn was still healing me. So there was a couple of other subdasha periods I had to get through that was significant in my healing and my understanding and wisdom. I wanted to share that's how we really want to use Vedic astrology to understand what each karmic period is asking of us and embrace that energy, because once we embrace that energy, the healing, we don't repeat those same toxic patterns again in our life. We move on and elevate our experience here on earth, closer to heaven, if you will, especially if you've been through a lot of trauma, and most of us have. So going back to Saturn K2 dasha, this is a karmic cycle that stirs up buried truth and asks us to speak from the soul, and I'm ready now because I went through the appropriate healing. So right now the planet K2, which is my subdasha period, is transiting over my natal Mercury, my voice, my message, my story. And Mars is igniting that same point. Mars is our willpower. It's a fire planet. It's what gives us that push and that drive to speak out, to hold our boundaries, to protect ourselves. My soul has to speak now, but not to perform, to remember, to liberate, to mirror something back to you. Because these transits, they're not just affecting me. They're stirring all of us calling us to stop pretending, to speak what's been silenced for so many generations, for so many years, in whatever form. And no, it doesn't have to look pretty. In fact, it's not going to look perfect, and it's not going to look pretty. It's not going to look rehearsed. It's asking us to reclaim the voice we were taught to shrink. So if you're new to astrology or wondering why I weave it into my healing work, here's why. I don't use astrology to predict your future or to box you in. I use it to help you remember your truth. Your birth chart is a soul map. It holds the clues to your nervous system, your wounds, your voice, your relationships, and your deeper purpose. It helps answers questions like, why does this pain feel so deep and so anxious? Why do I attract certain patterns no matter how much mindset work I do? Why do I feel like I've been carrying something that doesn't belong to me? For me, it wasn't until I understood my K2 in Australasia that everything made sense. And a little bit more about the astrology is that the planets grabs the energy, and the nakshatras that the planets live in or transiting through, it's what gives the archetype and the story that these planets express. So with my K2 in Australasia and understanding the storyline, I started understanding the shame, the scapegoating, the silence, because that's what I lived through. And it was that specific planet that was giving me that dynamic experience. But also, I started understanding the gift inside of it all. And this is where not only my astrology, but my coaching and the hypnotherapy and the neurolinguistics programming became a state of being for me. I embodied it fully, meaning that I understood it. And it's who I am. It's not something that I do. It's my state of being. That was my gift with K2 in Australasia. Even though earlier in my life, it was quite difficult. And this gift, it's inside of us all. Maybe not with exactly K2 in Australasia, but we have a gift with all of our planets. And wherever K2 is sitting in our chart, there is a gift for you also. And that's what I want for you too, to discover that gift and that purpose and that empowerment. So it's not just for clarity, but freedom. And what is Australasia? In Vedic astrology, my soul's karma shows up as K2 in Australasia, a nakshatra ruled by the Nagas, the ancient serpent beings of hidden power and transformation. Australasia holds the patterns of emotional enmeshment, ancestral secrecy, psychic sensitivity, and family dynamics where control gets dressed up as care. And if any of that resonates with you, you might be carrying this energy too, whether it's in your chart or just in your story. When K2 sits here, it often brings a soul contract to cut through illusions, to awaken from emotional fog, and to reclaim your intuitive serpent power, the one that was once used against you. And here's the magic in this as I'm speaking with you and from the soul and using my voice for healing through neurolinguistics programming and hypnotherapy through my coaching and been able to navigate through people's astrology charts. I get the privilege because of what I experienced, because I chose to heal from that experience, to step into this, what I call a superpower, and we all have our own superpower, to bring healing to society, to others, to the collective. And that, my friend, is a really beautiful place to be at this time in my life. And I am happy to share this with you and to step in these experiences to get you to the other side of the healing so that you can live your best life. That's what this channel is all about. So let's talk a little bit about the archetype of 𝐈'𝐯𝐥𝐝. And as I'm moving through this video, you'll understand why this archetype right now is so significant to you and to the collective. So the shadow of 𝐈'𝐯𝐥𝐝 is the poison bearer, the one who absorbs everyone else's pain and forgets where they end and others begin. But the true archetype is the exiled healer, the one who sees too much and speaks too soon. And I can attest to this. I did on several occasions. So they get pushed out of the system. They came to transform. Does that sound like you too? Or something that you've witnessed lately? Because that was me. I learned to carry what wasn't mine, to fill the room before I felt myself, to vanish into stillness just to stay safe. But 𝐈'𝐯𝐥𝐝 doesn't just bind, it reveals. It shows you that you were never the problem, you were the mirror. And I want to elaborate just a little bit more on this mirror because we are each other's mirrors. And as I was healing and starting to embody 𝐸2 and really understand that the wisdom of 𝐈'𝐯𝐥𝐝, I understood that everything in my life, including my home, what was in my home, the people in my life, were just mirroring back to me the energies and what I have embodied in my own body, in my own soul. And these things started transforming and changing as I was healing in a really powerful and significant way that I can really speak to. Not that I changed my environment or that I left the workplace that I was working, but the issues and the toxic patterns cleared itself. So I was having very different conversations with the same people. New people started showing up. Things that were not healthy started disappearing out of my life, whether maybe because somebody quit or somebody else healed. But these things just transformed in one way or the other on their own or with a little help from me. And it could look like if I was overburdened and worked too much, that maybe I hired a housekeeper, so I'm not cleaning my own home anymore, somebody else is. But these are ways, practical, everyday ways that things you will notice transform into your own life as you heal into this journey. And you're going to see it in the collective. So you were the mirror. I was the mirror for the other people also in my life. So if I was expressing my truth and they didn't like it, that was not my responsibility, nor was it my emotion to hang on to. I was simply being served as a mirror on their stage in their world, and vice versa. So let's talk a little bit about the collective mirror, and we're going to go into some headlines. So what I lived through, we're now seeing everywhere. The 𝐈'𝐯𝐥𝐝 energy, the distortion, the secrecy, the gaslighting, it's not just personal anymore, it's planetary. So right now, Mercury, the planet of voice, perception, and truth, is retrograde in 𝐈'𝐯𝐥𝐝 on my 𝐸2. This is why I'm coming out. But this is also why we're seeing it in the collective. Now, there's more planets than just Mercury being in 𝐈'𝐯𝐥𝐝 that's involved in the collective. And as I'm creating these videos, I will bring us through all of the planetary alignments. But right now, I really want to focus on Mercury retrograde in 𝐈'𝐯𝐥𝐝. That's directly opposing retrograde Pluto, the planet of power and shadow. And Pluto isn't just floating in space, it's transiting Uttara Ashara in sidereal Capricorn. That's the nakshatra of legacy, leadership, and public reckoning. This is cosmic pressure on every old, corrupt structure that thought it could hide behind status, wealth, or performance. No more lying, no more hiding, nor more being above the law. We're watching it unfold through the headlines, through public outcry, through the undeniable collapse of illusion. I'll be sharing a few of those headlines in this presentation because this Aslesha Uttara Ashara moment, it's not just energetic, it's visible. You can see it. Before I share these examples, I want to be really clear. I'm not here to accuse anyone. I'm not claiming to know the full truth behind these events. What I'm doing is reading the energy through the lens of astrology, through the karmic patterns in play, and through my own lived experiences. When Mercury is retrograde in Aslesha, opposing retrograde Pluto in Uttara Ashara, what rises is not just information. It's illusion, distortion, manipulation, truth-telling, and the pressure to name what's been suppressed for too long. These headlines are just examples, reflections of the energy at work in the collective. Whether personal or political, the patterns are the same. Truth being twisted, power being protected, but also clarity pushing through. We're seeing it everywhere. So here's one. Trump slams supporters as weaklings and stupid for wanting the Epstein files released. You can see this in numerous different headlines, like the Times on July 15th, 2025. But what is it really saying? The powerful are mocking the public for daring to ask questions. They're shaming those who seek truth and painting curiosity as weakness. This isn't just political theater, it's strategic gaslighting. It sends a message, you're the problem for asking, you're foolish for caring, and energetically, this is Aslesha wound on the world stage. Minimize the harm, rewrite the story, makes the ones who named the abuse feel crazy for speaking up. It's exactly how trauma is perpetuated by turning the truth teller into the villain. And what's the collective response? We're not falling for it anymore. This is the generation that sees the gaslight and names it out loud. We're done apologizing for asking hard questions. We're done staying silent to protect someone else's comfort. The spell is breaking, and we're not backing down. And I want you to reflect that, yeah, this is happening in the collective, but also it's happening in our own personal lives, and we see it all over social media. How many videos are we seeing of people who've been entangled with a narcissist? And this is exactly how narcissists in our personal lives, as well as in the collective, works. I think there's something really significant here before I get into the next headline. That because these energies are playing out and the reckoning is coming, the foundation for this perpetual abuse, lies, and manipulation and the twisting is going to be broken in the governments and the world leaders. And as it's broken on the stage, it also is going to release and break collectively. And this is collectively where we are saying this type of behavior is no longer acceptable in our personal lives, in our workplaces, or in the government. So this really is groundbreaking. Breaking the spell is really important for our children and future generations and our world, because we're done with protecting predators. And I know I'm from a generation that we protected predators and that we're still doing this. And now it's time to break that because nobody wants it anymore. On to the next one. Here's another one. Trump calls Epstein revelation a hoax. Oh gosh, here we go. He mocks his own base and accuses critics of hysteria. This is a huge ploy of how narcissism works, how predators work. And that's also from July 14th, 2025, but also we're seeing this in numerous headlines, right? It's not just in one, it's spread all over the media. So what's this really saying? Truth tellers are being painted as irrational, unstable, or disloyal. I know I was. Me telling my truth, especially when I was younger, the people who experienced the abuse along with me turned their backs on me. That key to in Asleisha, telling the truth before our time, before others are ready to hear it. A lot of people don't want to hear it, but now we're forcing it. You're going to hear it whether you like it or not. You're not going to twist words and shame us into silence for your guys' irrational behavior. It's not our irrational behavior. It's the abuser's irrational behavior. So even those who once supported him or Trump are now mocked for speaking out. And it's a shift focus from the truth to the tone or emotion of the messenger. I'm really passionate about these energies, especially being on the other side of the healing and being self-empowered. Also, what feels really good with these energies for us who've healed is that we're seeing people like me, but also people who are just really self-empowered and really strong, standing up for those yet that have not healed. So this is your calling to step into your healing. I don't know what is. This is it. We're all here for you as a collective. We're here to help you heal. We're standing by your side. You are no longer alone. This is a really beautiful collective time. So energetically, this is how oppressive systems protect themselves or abusers protect themselves, by discrediting the people who dare to reveal the cracks. It's the ancient karmic pattern of shooting the messenger to avoid hearing the message. The deeper truth is too threatening, so they label it a meltdown. But the collective response, we're learning not to shrink when they call us too emotional. There's such a thing as a spiritual rage, or being outraged on a soul level that you should be. Don't let anybody ever tell you you're too emotional. There are things that we need to be outraged about. And there are things that we need to speak about loudly and not go away and really stay in that self-empowerment. Because we can be emotional, but we don't want to be drunk in our emotions. We want to be self-empowered in our emotion. So it's speaking rationally, staying centered in that rage and not backing down. That's a beautiful place to be. It's not about harming others. The core of it is to protect ourselves and protect others, especially for those who cannot protect themselves yet. And that is the society's responsibility. We know that clarity doesn't always come calmly. Sometimes truth roars, and we're no longer confusing composure with credibility. We trust our instincts. We speak anyway, even when our voices shake. And there's been plenty of times that my voice has shaken. You can hear the trembling of it. So let's keep going. Pam Bondi teases she has the list, but the DOJ says no client list exists, and Republicans block transparency. Maybe that's changed now, but this was the headlines coming like from ABC News in July of 2025. I know it's still July, but you know the headlines could change so quickly. Things can change so quickly, but as I was preparing for this video, that's what was in the headlines. So what's this headline really saying? The system is playing both sides, hinting at truth to pacify the public, and then turning around to say nothing exists. It's a theater of accountability, but no real transparency. They perform as if justice is coming while hiding behind legal fog and bureaucratic shadows. So energetically, this is pure Asleisha illusion. And we all seen it. I seen it. I shouldn't say we all seen it, but I seen it. Pam Bondi go on there. I have the list. And she was very specific. They're not going to lie that away. And now we have it on camera. She did say that. To only deliver absolutely nothing. And then to say there is no list. Then why would you say that? There's different transits, and I'll get into those transits as we move along weekly, that played into Pam Bondi's fall in the public, revealing something that she really didn't have, not being able to deliver what she didn't have. And that has a little bit to do with Venus and Uranus in Taurus in specific nakshatras. And I do use Vedic astrology. But this is pure Aslesha illusion. The snake promises transformation, but delivers entrapment. It's the karmic pattern of appearing to care while doing everything possible to keep the truth buried. This is how abuse survives in plain sight, through clever language and beautiful masks. And the collective response, we're not satisfied with breadcrumbs anymore. We're calling out performance without substance. We're demanding full truth, not just theatrical hints or PR moves. The collective is growing spiritually literate. We feel the manipulation in our bones, and we choose discernment over distraction. And finally, Trump calls the Epstein files a Democratic conspiracy, rewrite the timeline, and mocks the victims. And again, that's from Time, July 2025, but I also seen clips of it where they're proving that they are rewriting the timeline. So they can't blame it on the Democrats. This started in a place where a timeline before the Democrat. In fact, I think it was when Trump last time was in presidency. Research it. You don't have to take my word for it. Trust me, it's all out there. I need to take a drink. Hold on. This is a little bit of a long video. I think it's really important to understand and grasp the energies of Aslesha playing out in our collective right now, so that we can really understand how to empower ourselves here at the end and to heal collectively, heal in our own life. But also to know that collectively, this has to happen in this way for us to heal. We got to expose the wound, call it out, and say, no, you're not going to put a bandage over it this time. We're going to heal from this. So I'm excited for what I'm seeing collectively, because this is what healing looks like. Anybody who doesn't know what healing looks like because they haven't been through it yet, this is what healing looks like. It's messy. But on the other side, that's where life really begins. So what is this really saying? These energies of mocking us and rewriting the timelines and throwing blame on other people, pointing the finger, right? Its reality is being twisted so deeply that the public can't tell what's true anymore. Real harm is rebranded as political drama. Victims are mocked. Timelines are changed. The story is rewritten in real time. Energetically, this is a distortion magic. The darkest side of Mercury in Aslesha. It confuses the collective nervous system, exhausts truth seekers, and fragments clarity. It's psychological warfare disguised as opinion. And if you've ever been entangled with any type of narcissist, and I know there's varying degrees, but I'm not getting into that, but any type of narcissist, they do psychological warfare. Everything that I've been discussing that's into the headlines today, this is all narcissistic behavior. And this is why it can be so triggering for those who have not healed. And we need to hold space for that, but also understand we're here with you this time. As a collective, we're here with you this time. We are speaking out so that you can heal. We're giving you that space. The collective response, we're sharpening our inner compass. We're trusting our body's signal over their word games. We're naming the disorientation and choosing not to spiral in it, because truth doesn't shout, it rings. And the world is learning how to listen once more. And you can see it all over. They're holding to the truth. We may not know exactly the right questions to ask, or maybe use the right language, but we have now people showing up in these podcasts that do have the right language for us, that are asking the right questions for us, and we're holding their feet to the fire. They're not going to unentangle themselves from this. This has to come out. They don't have a choice, especially with Pluto in Uttarashara. This is where legacies and leaderships will fall down. Again, I'm not speaking from a place of blame with sharing these headlines. I'm naming what these transits symbolize, how the serpent energy of Auslasia stirs the hidden, and how Pluto in Uttarashara exposes the structure that can no longer stand. This is about pattern recognition. It's about learning to read the energetic weather of our world so we don't internalize it, normalize it, or stay silent within it. It's about reclaiming our right to clarity, especially when the world tries to confuse us into forgetting it. This Pluto-Mercury opposition is a cosmic outcry. It says, bring it all into the light. It says the spell is broken. And it's asking each of us, will you keep protecting the illusion? Or will you choose the truth no matter how uncomfortable it makes others feel? And I tell you, on the other side of healing and choosing the truth and speaking the truth, no matter how uncomfortable other people feel, is a great place to be. Clarity is there. Self-empowerment is there. So for me, healing this moment, facing the deepest karmic knots, family betrayal, energetic manipulation, being loved when I stayed silent, but I don't carry that anymore. Now through Venus Mastermind, I hold space for others to untangle their own karmic cords, to name the invisible, to repair the nervous system, and to reclaim the voice they were taught to fear. Because once you see the pattern, you can break the spell. And once you break the spell, you come home to yourself. It feels really good over here, you guys. And I'm inviting you in. Come in and share this space with me. Come in and find your special purpose, your specific superpower, your healing, your self-empowerment, your peace. If you've ever been the black sheep, the truth teller, or the one who felt too much, this is your reminder. You're not too much. You were just ahead of your time. I've been there. I could sit in that space with you. You weren't broken. You were gifted with sight. This is just the beginning of a deeper journey into truth, healing, and the astrology of the soul. And I'm so glad you're here, because healing doesn't make you soft. It makes you sovereign. Till next week.